What is up, Space Pirates? This is your captain, the certifiably suave Dr. Disaster. And in the wake of the big election from this week, we have seen some pretty amazing meltdowns from people who are clearly unwell, and this has been especially true of the progressive hive mind that makes up the modern entertainment industry.
Something vexes thee.
But none of these meltdowns may be as consequential as this one right here for reasons I will explain shortly. But first, I want you all to meet Joel Aaron. This dude now has a protected account on Twitter because he's as cowardly as he is thin-skinned and irrational, but as you can see in the description of his profile, he is the director of cinematography, lighting, and FX for a variety of Star Wars projects, meaning he is a current employee over at Lucasfilm. And this is what he thinks of half the population of the United States. He wrote, in reference to President-elect Donald Trump, F this disgusting scrotum skin sack and all who support him. Obviously, he's having a bit of a moment. I was able to obtain footage of him as he finished typing that little tirade. Poor little fella, his whole world is crumbling down around him as these jackasses within the entertainment industry have to come to grips with the fact that the vast majority of people do not agree with their worldview. We are sick of their shit. But even worse for him is the fact that what he just said is absolutely going to help former Lucasfilm employee Gina Carano in her quest to get justice from Lucasfilm for having been fired for saying much less incendiary things on social media. I get the feeling I know what he was thinking as he switched his Twitter account over to private.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
Alright me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter where my handle is Dr. Disaster1. But, in any event, let's dig into this Star Wars employee and his very terrible and stupid meltdown. First of all, people like this are completely deluded. I think what hurts them the most is that they have been arguing with people like us for a long time, trying desperately to convince the world that they were the vast majority, that most people in our society were as mentally deluded as they are, and as morally decadent as well. But this week has proven how tragically out of touch with reality these jackasses are. And so it is quite natural that they'd feel the need to lash out at people that they disagree with. After all, we're talking about people with the emotional temperament of freaking toddlers. So, seeing this tweet was not at all surprising, but if you are one of the lawyers representing Miss Gina Carano, who was fired for much less than this, then you have got to be salivating. I hope she gets a shitload of money in her lawsuit here. Gina herself, though, she actually responded to this tweet. She said, "You work for Lucasfilm and Disney, right? And you are saying F 71 million Americans, correct? Got it." And you may remember this was what Gina posted on social media, which supposedly was cause to have her fired from Lucasfilm. She said, Jewish folks were beaten in the streets not by 1930s German soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where the soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being who they were. How is that different from hating someone for their political views? As I and many others have pointed out ad nauseum, this is an extremely tepid take. It's not spicy at all unless you have a guilty conscience, as Lucasfilm most certainly does. They realize that they are behaving in exactly the fashion that Gina described, and what they really don't like is when a mirror is pointed back at them and they have to see the stupid shit that they are doing. Which is why Kathleen Kennedy, the Lucasfilm boss, in all of her brilliance, decided to remove Gina from the company, citing this post as the reason. Well, now Gina is in the middle of a lawsuit aimed at the company, funded by Elon Musk, I might add, and this jackass employee of Disney's has gone out and given them, the lawsuit that is to say, a ton of ammo in their argument. I mean, to be fair, Disney hasn't had the opportunity to really respond to this yet. Maybe they'll end up firing the dude. I doubt it, but if they do, then this really isn't something that Gina can use in her case. In fact, it would be damaging to her. But if they let this guy stay at the company, then they are clearly engaging in a double standard, and they clearly are showing bias against Gina. And for a company like Disney that has been struggling so mightily these past few years, hardly any Disney movie has broken even, let alone made money. And now these idiots are announcing that they're putting out a new Star Wars trilogy, by the way. Supposedly it's going to be an episode 10, 11, and 12, or a new saga completely. The details are still a little unclear, but they are clearly very ambitious with Star Wars despite all of their failures. But a company like this, with so many ambitions and so few financial successes in the past few years, they can scarcely afford to distance themselves from the public even more, making a show about lesbian space witches like they did with The Acolyte. That wasn't enough for Lucasfilm. Putting out a video game with Star Wars Outlaws featuring an ugly-ass girl boss that nobody wants to play as, that wasn't enough for them either. They've got that Skeleton Crew show coming out in a few weeks that nobody gives a shit about. It looks like they're trying out a Stranger Things 80s vibe in it, but nope, that failure isn't going to be enough either. They have to prove on a constant basis how out of touch with reality and with society at large they are by having meltdowns like this, and I am very hopeful that it ends up costing the company big time. But drop your mockery of Disney and Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy into the comment section below, and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.